honest, that camera's a real asshole right now.
Welcome to Novell's world.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of which, welcome to BeThatWay.
BeThatWay.
Yeah. So
BeThatWay camera.
This is the show where, me, Novell, and Betsy, we talk about issues, and I'm really screwing this one up.
You are.
This is awful.
Let's just start over.
We don't need to start over.
I mean, well, we just need to take a break.
Look, it's BeThatWay. BeThatWay. We gonna be that way.
Okay, BeThatWay.
Yeah. So I'm Novell. This is
Betsy,
and we're just gonna talk a little bit about today's current issues, current things affecting not only Black folks but people at large. And I guess we can just kind of start off. First of all, how's your day so far?
Today is good.
Yeah? We got some good grub in us. We just finished eating.
I was fed very well.
Some ribs, a little bit of
your
rice.
Meat is always good to me. Let me tell you, you know how to throw it down. I'm telling you, I love your meat.
I like how you saying that.
No, I put a heavy accent on the meat.
A heavy accent on the meat. Okay, all the way around. I love all your meats. All your meats. So, so this is our first podcast. Second podcast because we just got finished recording about an hour and it was blurry. So the camera got one on us on that one. So I guess we're going to just kind of talk about a couple of things. First of all, tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do and what you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Betsy, probably the first Black Betsy you've ever met. And, Indeed. And I hold true to that name. My character definitely brings out, the qualities that you would think are Betsy-esque.
Very distinct qualities to engage Betsy. There's no question about that. No question.
I'm a mother of 3 and professional.
Yeah,
I'm pretty boring.
Where you working? Life. What do you do for dividends?
You just gonna get straight to the stripper roll.
Legal stuff.
Not the strip talk.
Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a scientist by trade, and now I'm on the compliance side of laboratory research. So,
yeah, if you need any information on COVID-19. That's it.
I'll give you all the real and uncut and unpublishable information.
Yeah, she's going to give you all the information you need before it's released out to the public. So, yeah. So, I'm Novell Way. Have a look at all the uhs and See, I told you it's nowhere near as polished as it needs to be. But I was about to say it again. Have a YouTube video or a YouTube channel, just Novell Way, and a website, deweygroovestyle.com. A dad of 4, and I work as an engineer, as a solutions engineer, architect, all of that good stuff. So that's out there. I'm not as highfalutin as she is.
We'll get into that. You'll see who the bougie one is.
Yeah. Oh.
And Betsy's not the bougie one.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to let's talk a little bit about some current stuff that's going on now. I saw a YouTube video where they asked a panel of people, and we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Okay. They asked a panel of people, what do black people make excuses for, I guess, being black or being oppressed or being, I mean, is there a lot of excuses in the Black community?
I believe the exact question was, are they playing victim?
Yes.
Are they playing the victim?
Yes.
And no one on the panel actually addressed it properly to me well enough to say there is no play.
Okay.
They're not playing. This is not an act. They're not playing a victim. We have been victim to a lot of things. We have been victim to oppression, to abuse, to murder, rape, and disenfranchisement. And
you think they still are?
Absolutely, we still are. Absolutely, we still are. And I say we are. I don't say it's a bad thing. I say it builds character. And I say, I do. It
builds
definitely
character.
It does. It builds character, just like ugly builds character.
No, ugly doesn't build character.
It builds character.
Ugly builds walls between people.
That's not true.
Yeah.
See, bougie. You see that, right? It's coming out. That's not bougie. You showing your skirt.
Look, if I'm not attracted to you, I'm not going to approach you.
No, well.
And notice how I said if I'm not attracted to you, that doesn't mean that you're not attractive to somebody else. It just means that I'm not me and your flow. We don't flow like that.
Understood. So,
but victims
with this whole idea, it's the fact that generally speaking, we have been disenfranchised as a people, as a whole. Of course, there have been many years of progress since then, and of course, there's been many generations of progressive thought. However, I think that the underlying reasons that we still have this level of separation and de facto segregation, it has something to do with just the general inherent ideologies of differences. There's this book by Dr. Seuss, brilliant author. It's called Stars Upon Thars. And there's this population of Sneetches. And there are some Sneetches that have stars upon their bellies.
We right back at the Sneetches.
Sneetches with an S.
Sneetches. Okay.
And then
I thought we had put this away.
No, we didn't put this to bed. We have to, because you still have not got this understood.
Right,
okay.
Right.
There were Sneetches that had stars upon their bellies, and there were Sneetches that did not. And the Sneetches that did not have stars on their bellies made a machine that could put the stars on their bellies. And of course, this whole idea of the ones that have the stars are the haves, and the ones that don't are the have-nots. And the ones that have, of course, once the have-nots were able to come upon, becoming the Sneetches with stars on their bellies, then of course the original Sneetches that had the stars wanted to take their stars off because they wanted to keep that distinction between them and the others. No matter, it's not the star in itself, it's just the fact that we don't want you to be like us. Mm-hmm. You're different than us. Okay? So that's the ideology that I think still is inherent in our society, is that
society, black people, white
society,
people,
everything. There are stereotypes, and I believe there is truth to the stereotypes. I believe there is truth to some stereotypes, and of course, it's not the whole entire generation. It's not the whole entire population, but there is some truth to it. Sure. I love chicken and watermelon. So when you see me, you can look at me and be like, I bet you she cooks with Lowry's. Yes, absolutely. I love Lowry's. Lowry's is delicious.
Are they? And they're still using Lowry, right?
Oh, yeah. And then, Spanish people, adobo and tahini and all those other things. Yeah.
First of all, people love chicken and watermelon because it's delicious.
Not everybody loves chicken and watermelon.
Not because I'm black, but because it's delicious.
Well, black people and chickens are quite fond of one another. So
chicken yard bird is pretty good in the community. There's no question. But you think that black people are still being victimized today? Absolutely.
It's because we still are a minority. So we still have to make waves into demographics or into different societies and different groups that we aren't actually at the table right now. So
that's interesting that you say that, because we're still a minority. So you think that until we are either even killed numbers wise or what have you, there's always going to be a stereotype against black folks?
Not just black, every Chinese people better write well and better, of course, artistically, and they better have good mathematic skills.
Yeah.
And they better work hard.
And they're pretty good at Tokyo drifting.
Oh, yeah.
With their little kitted up tune-up cars. Was that racist?
You got a Tokyo drift.
Was that racist?
Yeah, that's pretty racist. Yeah.
That's racist.
This is not going to be politically correct.
Betsy's pretty racist. I said that. I didn't mean to be racist, but she immediately agreed with it. So
I did not agree. I plead the fifth.
You even said Tokyo drifting.
I agreed. I agreed with the Tokyo drift, not with the racism.
Yeah, they're pretty talented. They are.
But I definitely believe that there are some tables that we're not seated at. We don't have a seat at the table, and so and they don't want us to have a seat at the table. And the same thing goes for, I think, both ways though. There are some tables that are predominantly black, and we don't want any other race at that table either. There are some things that we want to hold true and keep to ourselves, you know, and I think that is okay. I think that is okay. I think Hooters should always be for women. Women only should work at Hooters. I don't think there should be any men working at Hooters. I don't want to see man tits.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But as far as I think black people sure don't have a seat at as many tables as white people. There's no question about that.
Okay.
But I don't think that we're being discriminated against. But the question is whether or not
playing victim.
They play the victim, and I think that we do.
Oof.
Yeah, I think that we do. Because you know, a lot of black people that I know that I've talked to, anytime they face adversity, and there's always going to be adversity, now that builds character. When you face adversity,
yes, it does.
You have a couple of things that you could do. You could either hit it head on, you could fold in and just give into it, or you could just let it kind of drag you around, but you still kind of figure it out. Either way, adversity is going to come because life is about suffering. So when you are in there and if you don't get a job, because you know, I always kind of look at it, and this is just me. If I don't get a job, or if I don't get a position, or if I don't get a contract, or whatever I'm going for, I need to look at myself and say, okay, well, why didn't I get this job? Was it because somebody else was better than me? And you know what? That's okay. It's okay. Did I not have the skills to make it happen? Did I come in too low on the bid? You can always, I think that adversity, failure is about self-reflection, correction, and then getting on to a path of success.
Okay.
But I think that we as black people have a tendency to say, well, I didn't get it because there were no black people on the panel, so they must not want black people at the company, or you know, or silly nonsense like that. And I just, that really grinds my gears.
So 2 parts to that. I think in a sense, and this comes from my experiences and me as a person, my personal beliefs, because ultimately I do believe that, like I said, the stereotypes, right? So with that being said, I'm going to have a perception of somebody based on what I believe who they are. So if I hear a Hispanic name, I'm going to think of spicy. I'm thinking of their culture. I am going to think of their culture. I want to take the whole kit and caboodle. You know, I'm taking the good, the bad, whatever, the struggles. If I hear a name that seems like it might be black name, then I'm going to take that whole kit and caboodle with it. When I hear a white name, whatever. Right. So with that being said, is if I come to a table and I am that minority, or if somebody comes to my table and they are that minority, I'm going to have that perception. And based on the position that I have for them to fill, I'm going to see how that weighs in based on their personality. So my thing is that ultimately it's not necessarily the fact that they are a minority, or, you know, they're an other race than what I was envisioning for this particular position, but it might be that they don't necessarily mesh well with the other individuals within this table. Right, but if they don't get it, I mean, because let's get back to it. If they don't get it, do they play the victim card, or do they self-reflect? So that's the thing. It's not even about victim. It's just not for you. And I don't have that experience. Like you said, you have some you have black friends and colleagues that have complained about the fact that they didn't get a job because they were black. My thing is, like, it could have very well been because of your blackness, not because that you are black. Well, my kids told me, actually, it's funny that you say that. My kids told me they echoed similar things, that they thought that black people were a little bit too aggressive and a little bit too argumentative. I think they've had to be. Well, they've had to be. I think that that's a product of a limited viewpoint, because I think that they're disagreeable and argumentative white people, Asians, Indians. Agreed. And I think that that's a stereotype a little bit. Yeah, it is. And I know you operate. That's your you get right in that gel. That's your wheelhouse. I mean, I went to a HBCU. And I went to a university that was not HBCU.
So
And
how was that experience? Like, did that experience teach you or prepare you for the corporate world?
So the problem is that I grew up in a household that was racially charged. And I was told my whole life that black people were argumentative. And I was told my whole life that black people were not smart, they were lazy, and what have you. That's how I was raised. Mm-hmm. And I was intent on proving that this is not true. This is not true. You cannot say this about black people. We have very smart black people. We have very polished black people that can handle conflict and know how to resolve issues without physical violence. However, when I went to my HBCU, that's not what I got. That's not what I got when I went to my HBCU. And also, I expect my other counterparts to be aggressive towards me.
Other counterparts, other black people?
Just no other white people, other ethnicities. I expect them to be, cause conflict or whatever, or not necessarily. I just think human nature, people in general, especially in the corporate world, I believe that they do have maybe insecurities, and they maybe feel the need to push other people down to achieve a certain success.
You think that's just the corporate world?
I was hoping it wouldn't fall into my lane. That's why I specifically went into science, because I felt like, hey, I do my experiments. The results are the results. It has nothing to do with any bias or any politics or anything like that. Wrong. Mm-hmm. Wrong. Yeah. Everything in life has something to do with a bias. And what you want and how you want to see it in your perception. And
like
how
you said
can
before, we are the product of our experiences. All of our experience has prepared us for this moment right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So with that being said, my experiences at HBCU was very disheartening, because I went there to prove my family wrong. Hey, if you want to see more from me, you can go to BR_shine. That's my Snapchat.
Shameless plug.
We don't want to do that?
No, you can.
Okay.
You can.
All right.
It's just shameless.
Yeah, you don't want to see Novell's
you really don't.
Instagram.
You really don't. It's bare.
Worthless.
But I don't like worthless.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate what is going on my Instagram right now.